All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Analyze Your Trade number 212. So this is the newer, well, I guess we've been doing this for about almost 2 years now, this format. So this is the new live charting format where we have 15 uh, presenters throughout these 2 days. And we have 8 today and 7 tomorrow. Um, so Uh, just a reminder, all of these presentations are for educational purposes only, and trading is not suitable for all people. Please consult with a financial advisor and only trade with money you can afford to lose. All of these sessions will be recorded individually and available on TimingResearch.com, as well as the Timing Research YouTube channel and Timing Research podcast channel. So up first is Valerie Fox of TradeFocused.com. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her.
All right. Hello, everyone. Happy morning, afternoon, or evening, depending upon where you're calling in from. We did a little a little survey here while we were waiting for those who are on the line early, and we've got representation on the line from the US, in Kentucky, in South Carolina, probably many other places for those that have since logged on. I'm calling in from Portugal, and then we also have Sydney, Australia represented. So, this is a really fun style of presentation called Analyze Your Trade, as you know, but the really cool thing about these is we're just going to head to the charts and do a lot of analysis, real time. My hope is that you walk away with a couple of aha moments or components of technical analysis that you might consider implementing into your own strategies, or just continue to do more back testing on, just to kind of give yourself some more tools in your toolkit. I see we also have Canada represented. Woohoo! I love it. I love how many people come to these calls from all over the world. I think it's super, super fascinating. So my name is Valerie Fox. Thanks for joining this presentation. I have been trading the Forex market specifically for over 13 years with my own money. And I've been coaching traders of various markets for over 5 years. So I really enjoy trading. It's a passion of mine. And I really, I retired myself from corporate America many, many years ago, and, really kind of missed that interaction with people. And so that's why I started coaching about 5 years ago. And it's been really fun to help, traders of all backgrounds, of all account sizes, traders that are just starting out and people who are super experienced with, multi-million-dollar accounts. So this is truly my passion. I love being here with you guys. So thanks for being here with me. We're going to dive in. David already did a disclaimer here at the beginning, but just a reminder, this is for educational purposes and is not intended to be financial advice. We are going to be looking at live charts. I'm going to be talking about some trade setups and things like that, but, do your own due diligence, make sure you're, consulting with a financial advisor if you need more help, and, your trading decisions and results are your responsibility. So take it seriously. What we're doing here today is heading to the charts, but a couple of things I'm going to cover on the charts just to kind of get you excited about it is going to do, an in-depth chart analysis across many markets. So I know you guys are all calling in from around the world. You also probably trade different markets. So if you could just take a moment, I like to keep these as interactive as possible. Go to the chat box, change it to responding to everyone. It'll default to host and panelists, but if you change it to everyone, then everyone can see your responses. And just tell me what market you trade or which market you would like to trade if you're not currently trading. So what market do you trade? Are you in the stock? Are you trading the stock market, mutual funds, ETFs, indices, Forex, crypto, commodities? What market do you trade? Give us in the chat box so we can get kind of an idea here of who we have at least live on the line. So we've got some indices, the SPX, we've got options. I trade Forex, as I mentioned. But what you'll find as I go through this call and as we pull up the charts in a moment is a lot of technical analysis is really applicable no matter what market you trade. And you're going to see that kind of carry over as I pull up the charts, because I'm going to be pulling up everything. So yeah, we've got some stocks only people, we've got a newbie learning from the pros. So yeah, we have a wide variety, even just with the few people that responded here. And I know it can be a little intimidating to use the chat box, but I promise it is a lot more fun if you join in on the chat. So if you missed my question, it was, what market do you trade today, or do you want to trade in the future? So type that in the chat box and I'll continue here. So I'm going to not only do an in-depth chart analysis, kind of just giving you my overarching views of where the market is today and where it might be headed. I'm also going to give you some tips on how to read the charts. I'm going to break down some potential trade setups. And then the big part of this call is really to open it up to you guys. And, you can give me your ticker symbols and I can pull it up. And we can talk about some potential trade setups on those charts, or I can also answer any other questions, not specific to the charts, if you have some questions about trading. So as a, thank you for being here with me. I have a couple goodies for you. First, over here on the upper left, I have a free download if you want it. It's called the Ultimate Trade Plan Checklist, and I just launched it as a new updated version here, kind of compiling a couple freebies I've had in the past. So this is an all-inclusive, comprehensive kind of roadmap to what I would consider achieving long-term success. It's outlines those essential steps for every stage of your trading, whether it's pre-trading, actual trading, post-trading, kind of those disciplines and behaviors. And the cool thing about it is it allows you to easily celebrate your accomplishments and how far you've come with trading, but it also helps you identify your own areas of opportunity within your trading. So it gives you those kind of focused next steps. So that's available at tradefocused.com/checklist. And then the other thing I want to mention to you today is something that's brand new. I actually have the waitlist open, but I have an all new program called Trade Master Monthly. And if you want to join the waitlist, you can go to the website I have there, tradefocus.com/trademaster. But what this program is every month you'll have the ability to master a new trading strategy. So I'm going to backtest a strategy, launch it every month, include an in-depth analysis of the strategy, a trade plan template, trade examples across multiple markets. But the idea of this program is really to help you elevate your trading game one strategy at a time. And the idea is not to just flip-flop strategies all the time, but more to make a variety of strategies accessible to you in a very objective way so that you can continue to improve your trading. So you might not trade each of these strategies that I launch every month, but what you might do is learn something from the insights that I share about the strategy, or incorporate a component of that strategy into something you might want to test or trade on a demo account. So it's a really cool new program that I'm excited to launch. And since I'm in front of you guys today, I decided to put together a little wait list because it's coming out next month in July. So if you want to join the wait list, you'll get kind of that exclusive early access and a discounted rate for TradeMaster Monthly. So that can again be done at tradefocus.com/trademaster. Okay, so enough of that. Let's go to the charts. I'm going to share my screen here. Can you guys just give me a yes if you can see my chart now? Give me a yes in the chat box. Perfect. Okay. So this is just the free TradingView software. So I'm not using anything fancy here for those of you that are new. If you just go to tradingview.com, I'm not recommending this either, but if you're like, I get a lot of questions about, hey, what are you using to show these charts? It's TradingView. The cool thing about using that on these calls is that I can look at indices, stocks, futures, Forex, crypto. I can look at them all in one platform. And this user interface is pretty easy for analysis. So I'm going to just use that today. What I'm going to do is just what I call a top-down analysis. We're going to look at what's happening in some of the major markets. And I'll do a top-down analysis where we start at some higher time frames like the monthly and the weekly, and then we go down to the daily charts. This is just going to give us like a bird's eye view of what's happening. It might also give you some ideas at how you can look at, the big picture analysis on the instruments that you trade as well. So let's start with the indices. We'll start with the S&P 500 index here. I did see there was at least one person on the line that trades this. So I'm just going to start with the monthly chart. Now, when I look at monthly charts, this is a big picture kind of vantage point where you're just looking for, major trends and support and resistance. So this is a naked chart. It's just a candlestick chart. There's nothing on here right now. But tell me in the comments, would you say we're in an uptrend, a downtrend, or no trend right now? What do you think? Just based on what you see. Uptrend, downtrend, no trend. Up, up. Anybody else? Uptrend, uptrend, uptrend. Yes. Literally everyone who responded in the chat box said uptrend, and you would be right. It's very easy to see that. So, the really fascinating thing about trading and analyzing charts using technical analysis, oftentimes things are super obvious. Sometimes things get more complex. The more you drill down, the smaller timeframes you go to, you can get a little bit more noise. So a tip I have for you, if you want to see kind of like a bigger picture trend about what's happening in the market, just go up a couple time frames. So again, I'm on the monthly chart here. This is a very great vantage point of just the overall trend where, 99% of the time, everyone's going to be able to identify the trend. So what would you use this information for? It's in an uptrend, the S&P 500 index. What you might use it for is building a trade bias. You might say, oh, okay, the trend is up on the higher timeframes. I might want to look for some buy opportunities. Maybe that's one thing. Another thing you can do on the monthly chart is find some kind of what I call key levels of support and resistance, or key levels of supply and demand. And these are some kind of big, meaningful areas where price has changed directions. So I'm just going to notate a couple of the recent ones. So here's where price is today. Here's the last few months, few years of charts. Things move really slowly on the monthly chart. But what you can do is very clearly see. So I'm going to get a horizontal ray right here. And I'm just going to focus on some key areas where price has changed directions. So I'm going to put it on the close price of these candles. So this was an area where price was going up, it came down, and then it started going up again. It bounced right here. That's kind of a meaningful area on the monthly chart. There's another one right here. So I'm just notating those with some horizontal rays at the close price of the candle. Another one is right here. So, these are kind of interesting to add because they're a little bit more fewer and far between. But what they're going to be helpful for is when we go down in time frames, you're going to see these levels are respected on the weekly and the monthly charts. And when price approaches these levels, they are really ideal trading levels if you know how to use them. Here's another one right here and another one right here. So I'll just put a couple more lines on here, and then we'll zoom down in time frame to see how this may have been helpful if we would have had these on our charts. Right now, price is way up here, so it's not doing anything. But overall, what we can tell from the monthly chart and the valuable insights for me on the S&P index, 500 index, is price is moving up, and I've notated some key areas of support and resistance. Right now, price is above that support and resistance. If it were to come down and start to bounce from any of these levels, I would be looking for some long opportunities. Okay, so let's go down to the weekly chart. I've got too many windows up, so let me move some things around here. So now let's go down to the weekly chart. So these are the same lines from the monthly chart. And you can see on the weekly chart, price came up and then sure enough, bounced from that. You can see here are the price movements around those monthly levels from before. So let's just think about the trend for a moment. If we were to look at the recent price action here, the candlestick formations that were made most recently on the weekly chart, would you say we're in an uptrend, downtrend, or no trend on the weekly chart? Type it in the chat box. Let me know what you think. Uptrend. Anybody else? Up? Any others? Come on, it's really fun to do the chat. Wake up, wake up, wake up. All right, we got lots of ups, but yes, that's correct. This is still in an uptrend. If it was a little bit, hard to see, you could also add a moving average. If, for people that have traded price action for a long time, it's really easy to see the trends. You also can add a moving average if you want a little bit of help. So just adding a simple moving average to the charts can also help give you an idea. So if I zoom this in so you guys can see it a little better, I added a moving average. It defaulted to 9. Some people have certain values they really, really love to use. I could do a whole training on how you could use moving averages, but I'm just going to leave this as a 9. You can see this line right here is the moving average, and it's averaging the price of the last 9 candles. We're on the weekly chart, so the last 9 weeks, this is the average price. You can see the moving average is going up, and you can see that price is still above it. So what that tells me as a trader is that the trend is still up and it's still strong. This is increasing and price is above the moving average. So price is still at a steady increase. So again, this is going to support looking for a buy opportunity. And then lastly, if you wanted to go down to the daily chart and kind of see what kind of price action we're getting here, we could remove or hide the moving average. You could look for some additional levels of more recent levels of support and resistance. But in terms of a trade setup, I would say if price pulled back here around this line, and I'm a big fan of price proving to me that it's going to reverse. So I don't think if it comes down at a first touch that I would buy. I would wait for some kind of price confirmation is what I call it. So whether that's, a doji candle, an engulfing candle, some kind of a reversal candle sequence, or maybe it's a pattern, right? Maybe it's a head and shoulders pattern or an inverted head and shoulders in this instance, or kind of price action standpoint, you go from getting lower lows and lower highs to now getting higher highs and higher lows. You need some kind of confirmation that this support level will hold, because it's going to come down here and it's either going to bounce or it's going to break through and go lower for a different support and resistance level. And you want to confirm before you enter a buy on this potential trade that it's going to go your direction. So give it some time to make that confirmation, either giving you a reversal candle sequence or a chart pattern. I know I've kind of said a lot here and we have varying degrees of experience on the call. Are there any questions yet? Because what I'm going to do next is go through a couple other tickers. We'll go through some stocks, futures, Forex, and crypto using the same level of analysis. Any questions yet? Oh, I lost my window here. I see one. Nope. Okay. All right, so let me continue. We just did a top-down analysis looking at the monthly, daily, and weekly chart on the S&P 500 index. Let's go to a stock. Let's look at Apple. I'm going to go back up to the monthly chart. After you do this time and time again, you'll realize how easy it is. So are we in an uptrend, downtrend, or no trend with Apple? Tell me what you think in the chat box. Because even though we have a lot of new people on the line, or a lot of people that have been trading and maybe aren't used to just analyzing naked charts, it's quite easy if you give yourself a little bit of time and practice. Yep, uptrend, exactly. So we're in an uptrend on Apple right now on the monthly chart. Let's go down to, well, let me notate a couple key areas of support and resistance. So this was an area of resistance where price moved up and then bounced down, and price has since gone above it. So this is the highest level on the monthly chart that I'll be watching for price to potentially come back and retest. Let's go down to the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, it's basically kind of the same level. You could add kind of, these are zones really, these support and resistance, they're zones where price can come close to it and give us either a pattern or a candlestick formation that might show a reversal. But yes, still in an uptrend, still making higher highs, higher lows. Let's see what's happening on the daily chart. The daily chart has gone up. It's getting a little bit of exhaustion here, where you had these big moves, you had a price pulled back, you've got some inside candles. Price is probably going to come do some kind of pullback. I would say if it pulls back to these levels, those would be trading opportunities for a long. Now, all of this top-down analysis can also be applied on smaller time frames too. So I'm just kind of looking at it from like a day trading standpoint, where I would be watching this for price to come down here. But if you wanted to, let's say, do more of a scalping or intraday trading, you would go down to smaller time frames. And let's see what that would look like. I'll do that on the next one, Tesla. Actually, let's go to Forex, switch it up. Okay, so on the euro US dollar, I'll just do real quick, the same analysis here. Let me just clear all my lines. Okay, so we got a naked chart here. Would you say right now we're in an uptrend, downtrend, or no trend? Post it in the chats. Uptrend, sideways, or no trend? Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on your vantage point, right? This one's a little bit trickier than the first couple we looked at. So it's consolidating, yes. So in this section right here, it's definitely consolidating. If you zoomed out, you know, you would say it's definitely in a downtrend, but we are in a period of consolidation at the moment here. The last few months, or the last almost year, this started consolidating back in February of 23. So let's go down a time frame and see what's happened more recently on the weekly chart. So on the weekly chart, you know, if we just kind of zoom out a minute, we were going up, getting higher highs and higher lows. Then we kind of broke this and started maybe reversing down. And then now we've kind of just been doing some more consolidation with lower lows and lower highs. So overall, we're consolidating, but we're also got a small downtrend. And if I go back up to the monthly chart, I didn't, there's some key levels of support and resistance. You know, there's many, if you look left, and then there's several that are closer. So really what I'd be looking for is kind of for price to break out of this consolidation zone. So you could do a line at the top. You know, if price went above that, that would be a breakout for potentially some buy opportunities. And if price breaks out from the bottom, then that would be kind of a breakout for some sell opportunities. And the sell opportunities would be what I would be most interested in, since we're in a downtrend on the higher time frames. But since it's been consolidating, it really could go either way. But I would be looking for price to go up or go down below that. And from there, I would have my trading bias to know which direction I wanted to go. But you can see those are here as well. And you could refine these on your weekly chart as you drill down. You know, you might be looking for price to break from that, or even just from this one. If price breaks below that, then it's continuing to make lower lows. And then on the daily chart, none of these are like actively in like a trade setup because of where price is in relation to these support and resistance levels. So let's do an analysis where we kind of start fresh from a lower time frame chart. So previously we did monthly, weekly, daily. Now let's do daily, 4 hour, 1 hour. Well, let's go even lower for some of you that are smaller traders. We'll do 4 hours, 1 hour, and 15 minutes. So on this chart, we're on the 4 hour chart now. So each of these candles represents a 4 hour time period, definitely in a downtrend where the lows are going lower, the highs are going lower. We're in a downtrend here on the 4 hour chart. Here are some key levels from the 4 hour chart. We have this level right here, which we need price to break through to kind of reiterate our lower lows. This is also a meaningful level here, which price might come back up and retest before going lower. So these would be the two areas I'd be keeping an eye on the euro US dollar as an intraday trader or scalper. So price is kind of slowly making its way up. If it made its way all the way up here, I'd be looking for some kind of confirmation that it's going to bounce. like a pattern, like head and shoulders, or like a candlestick reversal sequence, like a pin bar or spinning top or an engulfing body. So this is the 4-hour chart. You can see a lot already by just looking at this. And then you can go down to the 1-hour chart. So what's happening on the 1 hour? So we're still definitely in a downtrend with some consolidation, a little bit of floating upwards. And then let's go down to the 15-minute chart. So on the 15-minute chart, we're moving up a bit. So again, these are those lines I marked from the 4-hour chart. And I would say if price comes up here and gives you a head and shoulders. So what that looks like is something like this. How many of you are familiar with head and shoulders pattern? Give me a yes or a no in the chat box. Yes. Yes. Anybody else? Familiar, not familiar? Yes. Okay, so a lot of people are familiar. It's a very popular pattern to trade, the head and shoulders. So what that would look like on this chart, and trading is really it's an art form. You have to kind of train your eyes to see things. So price, imagine it continuing to go up, over a series of candles. And it goes up and it might go above this line, right? But then it comes back down. And it might come up and like come close to touching it. But then it bounces down and then it comes back up and actually kind of touches it, maybe passes it a little bit with a wick. You'll see this time and time again when you're trading. But when this happens, so you've got these higher highs and higher lows, but then all of a sudden price breaks through the low right there. When that happens from this around this support and resistance level, then you would want to enter. You could enter at this the higher time frame support and resistance level. You could enter at the left shoulder, setting a sell order there to go down further. But this basically trend line break here, where you go from higher highs and higher lows to all of a sudden getting a lower low, is a key signal for what's called a head and shoulders, because then what's going to happen next in a lot of times is price will come back up similarly to either retest this or retest this, sometimes even retest the high to the left. So you want to make sure your stop loss is above that head with some buffer space, because sometimes it does go back and retest that one too. But somewhere in this zone, it is likely to come back and do a retest before it decides to go down further. So this would be an example of a head and shoulders that I'd be waiting to see on this lower time frame chart, maybe on the 15-minute, maybe on the 5-minute, depending upon but I would be setting like a price alert to say, hey, let me know when price gets near this level, because then I want to start watching for some price action. Got a question. In your Forex trading, which period do you use for confirmation of the trend and which do you use for the trade entry? Great question. So what I do in terms of using multiple time frames is I go 2 time frames higher. So for example, let me just put a little text overlay here, because these charts have lots of time frames and it's not the exact layering that I do. So if you want me to be super specific, let me just add a text box here. That way you can see it. And I'm going to make it a little bigger so everyone can see it. So I do, if you start at 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, if you consider each of these the little jumps, 4 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year. Okay, so if you consider these to be all the different time frames, try to put it in a clear space, you can see it right here. So let's say you normally trade on the 1 hour. You need to jump 2 time frames. So if you trade on the 1 hour, like your entries and exits, and you're looking for patterns and all that on the 1 hour, I would go to the 1 day to look at the higher time frame trend. So you jump 2 time frames. In this example, I'm on the 15-minute. So if I'm looking for trade setups on the 15-minute, jump 2 time frames, I would use the 4 hour for my higher time frame. And if you want like multiple time frame confirmation, then you could use the next one as well. So on the 15-minute, you would jump 2. So you'd use the 4 hour, and then you could also look at the 1 day. So you could use both of those to get kind of like that, making sure the 2 higher time frames are in alignment. If you traded using the day chart, the daily chart, for your entries and exits or candlesticks or whatever you use to trade, then you would use the monthly and the quarterly. So again, skip 2 or skip 1 and use the second one up. And then if you want to layer a second one. So hopefully that's helpful. That's what I do. Just to really get that vantage point, kind of get rid of some of the noise in, those periods of consolidation or pullbacks and things like that. By jumping 2 time frames, it really gives you a good big picture vantage point. So this is an example of price continues up on the euro US dollar, kind of really at that intraday trading level where you might be in and out of the trade in a single day. Is there anything else you guys want to see on this kind of setup or what if scenarios on how things would be handled on this specific trade? Okay, let's transition over. I've covered kind of a lot of basics and ways of analyzing the charts. Can you give me a ticker that you want me to analyze? Anyone post in the chat box what ticker you'd like me to analyze? Maybe something you're keeping an eye on or something you're curious about. All right, we got Bill gave me JBL. So let's go there next. And Bill, what time frame, or let me ask you this. How quickly do you like to be in and out of your trades? Minutes, hours, days, weeks, months? How long are you holding on to your trades? Because that ultimately is going to tell me what your entry time frame is. And that will be important so I look at the right chart. So Bill's in his trades for weeks. So JBL, let's go to JBL. Okay, so JBL, you're in your trades for weeks, which means you're what I call a position trader. So if you're in your trade for a couple of weeks, that's kind of like your, give me a second here, I'm just writing this down. Oh, no problem. Thanks for calling in from Sydney. Get some sleep. Someone's got to go because they're in Australia and hopping off because it's late. Okay, so if you're trading for weeks, the weekly chart's going to be kind of your higher time frame analysis. So let's look at the weekly chart and see what's happening. So JBL on the weekly, I'm going to zoom it in here a little bit for you. So this is interesting because we were in an uptrend on the weekly, and we've now come down a bit. And we've actually have now a head and shoulders pattern here. So we were making higher highs, higher lows. Okay. We've now gotten lower lows. And right here, we didn't quite go lower than this. So now you've officially gone lower than your previous swing low. So we have a qualified head and shoulders pattern. So my question would be, like on a higher time frame, are we at a key level of support and resistance? So I'm just going to pop up a time frame, go to the monthly chart and kind of zoom out a little bit and see if we're approaching any kind of like levels of support and resistance on the monthly. So on the monthly here, we have this, which is kind of close. Let me get a little ray. Because patterns are great, but they really don't mean anything unless you're like approaching some key levels of support and resistance. It just really makes them a lot stronger. I'm going to zoom out more and see if there's anything happening. Okay, so we're kind of at these like newer unprecedented levels up here in this price range. So I'm going to just zoom back in. I'm going to reset chart view and zoom in. Let's go down to the weekly again. So on the weekly chart, here we go. We are definitely approaching some weekly levels. So we can adjust kind of that monthly level. There's this one here, which price is at. So this is a really good sign in terms of a potential reversal. So on the weekly chart, we're going up and we're approaching these prior levels of support that have now become resistance. When I go down to the daily chart, we see price is approaching it. Okay. If we go down to the 4-hour chart, stocks are sometimes a little bit more, you kind of have to zoom out to get things to show clearly because of the price gaps that happen daily. So here's what I would want to see on this. If we're at a key level of support and resistance in a downtrend on the weekly chart, price has now given us a confirmation of a downtrend by rotating lower. If you wanted to add a moving average, let's just do that for giggles. Just a simple moving average. You can see that price was going up, up, up. The moving average was on an incline, right? The moving average was inclining up, and now it's on the decline. So it's showing a sign of the momentum changing. So that is another confirmation that we might be approaching kind of a reversal, right? And going into the downtrend. So when you're trading, holding trades for weeks, you're kind of taking bigger positions in the market. So this vantage point of this strong uptrend and then the moving averages now on the decline is important to know because you're going to be holding your position for, more than a day. You want kind of a more sustained move. So here's what I would be looking for, kind of going back down. Let me hide this. So if you go down to the 4-hour chart here, price is currently is approaching this. If we on the 4-hour, at this point, it's more about getting some confirmation, right? So you want to get confirmation that this level is going to hold, at least for a little while. So I wouldn't be interested in it right now. It's just retouching it for the first time. I want to see it touch it and show me that it's going to bounce back downwards. So you could either stay on the 4-hour or you could go down to the 1-hour to look for kind of these micro movements. So again, I'd be looking for a head and shoulders pattern to show up here somewhere on a lower time frame. And what that would look like again is, price is going to test this, do a bounce. It might not be in this exact position, then it might go up and retest it, maybe breach it a little bit more. And then kind of come down and give me like a lower low. And then I'd be looking to sell kind of right in this zone here. And again, from a stop loss standpoint, you want to give some buffer space above these recent highs, whatever they end up being. So for me, if I was trading this, I'd be kind of in a sit and wait moment with this, where I'm watching this closely, giving it some time on the 1-hour. You could even go down to the 15-minute for some intraday opportunities here. So here on the 15-minute, you can see it came close. It's already bounced once, and now it's retesting again. So really, this move has already happened. And now we're just looking for it to potentially find some resistance, come down, and go below these wicks. If it comes down and goes below these wicks, then you have a prime sell opportunity right here for it to come back up and sell to go lower. Is that helpful? Who asked that? Bill. Is that helpful, Bill? Awesome. Okay, let me go to the next person. So we've got George doing some holding trades for a couple of days with AA. So let me go to AA, give you my thoughts on that one. Okay, so Alcoa Corporation, if you're holding things for multiple days, you're more of a swing trader, right? From a day to a few days, but normally less than a week. So what we're going to look at first is the weekly chart, kind of just to get a high vantage point here. So on the weekly chart, we've been in an uptrend more recently. We're coming off that uptrend to pull back. which actually makes sense. You're coming into some of these kind of prior resistance where it bounced and then it broke through. So I'm going to put just kind of a reference line from a support and resistance standpoint right here. So we're getting really close to some of these levels where price is coming down. So uptrend on the weekly. And then let's go down to the daily chart just for kind of another vantage point here. You can also refine your support and resistance levels here. So, you know, this zone is still pretty on key. So then I would go down to the next time frame, which is 4 hours. Like, let's see if we're getting any candlestick pattern formations around this area. So price is just coming into this zone again. We're on the 4 hour. Let's go down to the 1 hour. And this might be something where you have to watch it for a bit. So right now we're coming into it. We could have the start of a head and shoulders right here. So whenever price breaks above at this point, this level, right? So if price is coming down, it bounced up, it's gone down, giving us another lower low, signifying on the 1 hour chart, we're still kind of in this downtrend. But once it comes up and breaks above these price points, then you could be primed with an inverted head and shoulders for a buy opportunity. And that buy opportunity could be anywhere in this zone with how the chart reads right now. If you go back up to the daily chart, let's see if there's any opportunity to fine tune this or the 4 hour. I don't remember which chart I was on just a second ago. So these lines right here, you know, we had kind of on the 4 hour chart, the most recent kind of nearby one, when you look left, was here. Price was going up and it came down and bounced from here all the way up. So this is a really strong 4 hour support and resistance level. Again, I just put my line at the close price where the reversal happened. So this red candle down and then it shifted directions. That was kind of this meaningful price zone. And then if we go back down to the 15-minute chart to kind of find that perfect entry, you can see here we have the start of a head and shoulders again, where price was going down, bounced up, we've gone lower. And then if it breaches, you know, this was from the 1 hour chart, this line I have now, just as a reminder right there. But if you want to fine tune things, you can go down another time frame and kind of fine tune these. You could look there, you could look there. But if you're getting price going beyond those, then you'd wait for another pullback. So again, right now, we don't have confirmation that this is support and resistance level is going to be respected. So I always wait for price to show me, right? It's going lower, going lower. I want it to show me that it's going to reverse and respect this level. And then I'd be looking for a buy opportunity somewhere in this zone right here. You know, if price were to go back up, you know, it goes here and then it kind of goes past that with a series of candles. You could, you know, just enter around this left shoulder for a buy. You could use a Fibonacci retracement. I don't know how many people are accustomed to using fibs. A fib retracement, if you draw it from the lowest point to the new highest point, you could enter like the 618 retracement for a buy. Your stop loss again should be somewhere below the recent price action. Give yourself some buffer space in case it comes back to retest that. And then, you know, at least shoot for a 1-to-1 or, you know, some of these support and resistance levels that it might hit, or you could shoot for some Fibonacci extensions in terms of profit targets. Hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, I'd say this one's close to a setup for an entry that's lining out for a long at a key level of support and resistance. Just waiting for that confirmation on those lower time frames, keeping an eye on the, you know, the 1 hour chart to breach some of these levels, or even the 15-minute, depending upon how low you like to go. Hopefully that was helpful. Give me a yes or a no there. Let's see what other, so we've got cron for a month plus. Awesome, thanks for the feedback. Glad it was helpful. So let's go to cron. Chronos. Okay, and you're in trades for a month plus, so really you're more like a position trader. Let's look at the higher time frame. Let's look at the 12-month charts. You know, what's been happening in recent years. Don't have a lot of history, obviously. We'll start kind of high, you know, overall, we went really high and we're in a pullback, kind of in this downtrend on the 12-month charts. Let's go to the quarterly charts every 3 months and see what that's looking more like. Definitely more in a downtrend here, as you can see. We've been steadily going down for many quarters with just a little pullback in there, but you know, kind of settling into a little resistance here, or I'm sorry, support. Let's go to the monthly charts. Definitely a lot of consolidation here. Big picture, we're in a downtrend, but we're finding some consolidation. Let's go down to the weekly chart and see what we have going on there. So in the weekly chart, we're more in an uptrend. In the weekly chart, we are kind of more recently in an uptrend. We're at a key level of support and resistance right now, though. I'm just going to add a ray there. So you can see the close price here. We're a little bit below it, but then we also have this one here. I'll just add another line. They're really close. These support and resistance zones where price reverses, they make V's and U's and inverted V's and inverted U's. You know, you see another one right here. But, you know, they're zones. So don't be, you know, they can be precise when you kind of go down in time frames, but just kind of at the high level here, keep this in mind as a zone. And I tend to use the close price instead of the wicks. So if we kind of go down on the daily chart and see what's happening around this zone, okay? So price is currently on the daily chart at this zone. On the daily chart, we're in an uptrend. For the most part, we did kind of recently breach this low here, but we haven't breached this low here. So still kind of in an uptrend overall, which supports a potential buy setup here. So this is the formation potentially of a head and shoulders, an inverted head and shoulders again. So if you want me to kind of draw that, for people who are newer to trading, this might look like nothing. But if you just kind of take some of these swings, you can see that they form the left shoulder and potentially the head here. So for me, I'd be in a wait, right? I'd be waiting for this to prove to me that it's going to respect these higher time frame monthly support and resistance levels. So I would be waiting for price to go above this prior neckline. I wanted to go above that, and then I would wait for a pullback for a buy, either at this left shoulder, at these monthly support and resistance levels, or again, you could use a Fibonacci if you want like an exact price there, and do the 618. You see so many times that these all overlap, right? You look at the left shoulder, you look at these support and resistance lines, you look at these fib levels, and they all are in a general vicinity. So pick one that resonates with you, that works to refine your entry, but there are a lot of great ways to really have a precise entry point and not be guessing. And I'm a big advocate of waiting for pullbacks. In none of my strategies do I ever enter, oh, I have a trade set up, boom, I'm entering the market. I always wait for a pullback because it gets you a better price. And when you understand that price moves in waves, you just have to be patient, which is one of the hardest things in trading, of course. But when you have a strategy that's rules-based, you know what you're looking for, and you've studied the charts and you've practice traded it, it gives you more confidence to be patient. So was this helpful? Let's see who asked this. Shell, was this helpful to you? Yes. All right. You said marijuana stock. Can you give me a ticker? Or maybe this is a marijuana stock. I don't know. Oh, this one is. Okay. Are there any other tickers you guys would like me to analyze and kind of give you my 2 cents on? Post it in the comments. I think I got all of them that were posted. Super helpful. Awesome. Okay, so just a quick recap. I always recommend getting that kind of higher time frame trade bias. It helps you get your trend. Ooh, another one popped up. Yes, INTC. All right, Boutique 2017. How long do you like to hold your trades? minutes, hours, days, weeks, months? Give me that insight. That way I can hone in on the right time frame. Daily. Okay, so you're a day trader. Let me go to that INTC. And you're a day trader. This is great. We've covered a lot of different trading styles. Okay, so you can start on the daily chart, kind of get an idea of what's happening at the big picture here. Because even though you're a day trader, you don't actually trade off the daily chart. You're going to use that kind of as your higher time frame, because you want to be in and out of a trade in a single day, which means you need to go down to smaller time frames to actually find those trading setups. But you can use the daily chart to get a higher vantage point. So what this chart shows me is we've been in a downtrend, a pretty steep downtrend, but we're finding some consolidation and we're losing some momentum for the downtrend. That doesn't mean that it's going to automatically start going up, but it just kind of a big picture vantage point is that we've been in a downtrend and we're finding some support, or we're in kind of a period of consolidation here the last several weeks. You could also pop up a time frame if you want to even bigger, go up to the weekly real fast. What does the weekly show us? All right, the weekly shows us a while back we were in an uptrend, but yes, again, we've been in a pretty steady decline here. So I would say we're in a downtrend. My computer is slowing down. Give me just a moment here. Hopefully it's not going to die. Okay, we were on the daily chart. Let's pop down to the 4-hour chart and see what's happening. So we started at the daily. We got a kind of a trading bias. Before is where I kind of start to look for some key levels, right? So if I just were to kind of notate, since we've been in a period of consolidation, notating those upper and lower zones are important, because then you can really easily see when you break out of them. So right now, I don't want to consider doing any trading until it shows me which direction it might want to go. So if I just like did some upper and lower limits, like here's an upper limit, and then down here is the lower limit, kind of the high and low of the period of consolidation. Let me grab another line. The computer's moving very slow, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. So right now we've just been in this like period of consolidation. I'm honestly not interested in making any trades until it either goes above or below. So because we're in a higher time frame downtrend, I'm more interested in sell opportunities. But again, we'll just see what price does. So sell opportunities might look like this. And we can even go down to the hour chart or the 15-minute chart for really getting the candle action. We're not there yet, right? Like price isn't quite there yet. You could argue, sorry, my mouse is very delayed. I've overworked it on this call. Hopefully everyone can still hear me. So these are some other levels kind of right in here. Oh, my mouse is very, very delayed. I'm sorry. So I notated this one initially as like the lower limit, which is, it is the ultimate limit, but this is also kind of an area where you're finding a lot of support, and price is kind of getting close to that level as well. So it's worth another, zone of watching. So real quick, you could go down to a smaller time frame. Just got a couple minutes to wrap up here. You could go down to 1 hour, see what's happening. Price is getting close to this first level. So if it's going to bounce, right, it might look something like this. Kind of give us that little head and shoulders again. Let me get the lines. So if it does something like this, oops, sorry, my computer doesn't want to grab what I want it to grab. So it might go something like this, where it goes down, kind of comes close to this line, and then it goes up, gives us a little bounce. And then it goes down again. And then it actually breaches it. And then if it were to, it's either going to keep going down, maybe down to this other level, or it might actually respect this level and start to go higher. There we go, might go higher. And in that case, I would look for a buy opportunity. But if it goes lower, it might breach this, or it might just breach and start going down, where you'd look for a sell setup. So really, it's kind of the sit and wait, like, let me see what price is going to show me. And, maybe you don't use the 1 hour, maybe you go down a minute. So hopefully that's helpful. Good, I'm glad it was helpful. You're very welcome. So again, I use a very price action based strategy. I use patterns, I use support and resistance lines. I'd like to keep it easy. Let me just show you, again, for some of you who showed up a little bit late that I had. So this is my thank you for those attending live or watching this after the fact. My computer is like not loving me at the moment. Thank you so much for joining me. My time is almost up, so I just want to remind you about a couple of goodies I have for you. You can download my free Ultimate Trade Plan Checklist. It's really a roadmap for what I consider to be a long-term trading success, outlining those essential steps that you go along in your trading journey. But really, the cool thing about the checklist is it allows you to identify everything you've accomplished, but more importantly, identify your areas of opportunity, things you need to focus on next. You'll go through the checklist and identify what you've done. And for the items you haven't done yet, those are quick focus areas to improve your trading even more. Also, on the lower right, you can join my waitlist. I have an all-new TradeMaster monthly program that's going to start next month in July. So it's not available yet, but if you want to join the waitlist to get access to early bird access and discounted pricing, it's free to join the waitlist. And this program is all about mastering a new strategy every month. So it's not with the intention of you flip-flopping strategies all the time, but more about elevating your trading game one strategy at a time. If you're interested in getting more info on that, you can join the waitlist. But that is it. Thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to take a picture of this slide. Go back and watch the recording for some of those detailed insights about top-down analysis, price action analysis, support and resistance, patterns. There's a lot of good stuff in there. If you're not familiar with some of those things, they could be good to rewatch in the replay. But thank you all so much. Hope you guys have an awesome day and enjoy the rest of the presentations.